Hello and welcome. I'm Mercy from HereThereBeMonsters, and apparently I have a frog in my throat. Sorry. Hello and welcome. I'm Mercy, the head game master at HereThereBeMonsters, and we're back with another Working Wednesday stream. We are here working on some stuff for the Kingdom of Rin campaign. You can find that in the playlist on our YouTube at youtube.com/HereThereBeMonsters, probably where you're already watching this, but just so you know. We play Dungeons and Dragons 3.5, specifically in a low level, low economy, low magic, gritty, kind of semi-realistic world with kind of a Tolkien-esque fantasy bent. So pretty much every Wednesday we get together for 1.5 to 3 hours to work on stuff for the campaign. I do try and keep it spoiler free, so if it's something that's not particularly spoilery, I'll show what I'm doing or talk about it more openly. And if it's something that is a little bit more spoilery, I usually won't be talking quite as much because I'll be focused, of course, on what I'm working on and not spoiling things. So that's the format of the show. We've got 45 minutes on the clock. We'll work until then and then take a 5-minute stretch break and refill water and whatnot. And then we'll come back to work.
YouTube stream is now live.
Thank you, Lumia. Also, if you end up enjoying the show, we'd love to have you put a subscription on the channel. That way you get notified when we're live. We do have 2 session videos coming out over the course of the next week and a half. I believe that's episodes 34 and 35, or maybe it's 35 and 36. But I think both fantastic episodes. I think very potentially, like, if not the best episodes, in the top 5 best episodes we've done for sure. Had a lot of fun, and thank you to our players, and thank you for being here. As far as today goes, there are a handful of things that I need to work on, as you can tell from down below, especially since session follow-up is very vague, which is, partly to be spoiler-free, but also because there are several things that I need to do in the wake of last session. Simple things like assigning XP and whatnot. But we had an ever so slight time skip, about a day and a half, just to hit a scene that we wanted to hit before the end of the session, and I will need to make sure to prompt my players to backfill what they would like to have done during that time. So that's just a few of the things that I'll be working on in the next little bit here. Hello, Lily. How are you? I have that relatively new, I don't know how new, Lady Gaga song Abracadabra stuck in my head. Some deep fried Mars bars. Interesting. Did you see the YouTube short that I shared, or that I pinged you, I guess, with? Probably the better way to say it. File information. So when are you gonna hit us with those kitchen stick recipes? I'm glad. Hey, Eclipse, great to see you. How are you doing? Thank you for coming in. Hello, Vincent. Good to see you as well. Bahir is from Atfal al-Shamsi. It's more of a city-state than a kingdom. Not one hockey stick? And you call yourselves Canadian. Oh dear. I'm apparently behind on naming some of my notes files. We need to fix that while I'm going. Doing well, just doing some gaming. Very nice. What are we playing today? Do you know about the public folder, Vince? I think that's the command. Dang it. Oh, wait. Yeah. If you don't know about the public folder, I have linked it in chat for you. There is not nearly as much stuff there as I would like to be there, but it's a combination of digitizing many notebooks of things that were physical, and also, of course, not all things make sense to release to the public. But there is a file there that's probably not super well named society names. That has the information in there. So if you're not familiar with these terms, there is an endonym and an exonym for that society. Their endonym, also known as what they call themselves, is Atfal al-Shamsi. Their exonym, so what other people call them, is Siloa. Like the Siloan people. Or however one needs to conjugate that. Playing a game called Kenshi. I've never played Kenshi, but I am aware of it. One of our very original Twitch streaming friends was streamed tons of Kenshi. That was her jam, for lack of a better word. Oh, right. You know what I just did? I just closed my YouTube tab that I had opened so I could go and look at what we had named the last few episodes so I could update the names of the note sheets, like how I just said like 90 seconds ago I wanted to do. Oh, golly. It'd be like that sometimes. All right. 33 is in fact not unnamed. It is called Midnight Surprise. Working on a feline shifter monk at the moment for a character concept. Snow leopard. Think Everon. Oh, very cool. Okay. Looks like 32 I also never updated the name for. 32 is called Slippery Slope. What about 31? Okay, 31 had a name. So 31, 32, 33 all have their names now. 34 I have not named yet because that slipped through the cracks and the 34 video never actually got finished. So my hope is to do that by late this week, early next week. Episode 35. What did we call that? It's a working title, so it might get changed, right? But episode 35. Oh, but that wasn't the beginning title of the stream. Oh, shoot. Can I see what we changed it to? Oh, no. I might not be able to. Skabosh was trolling our poor knight. She would never. What are you talking about? This is very vague, so although it might sound spoilery, obviously there's a ton of information for anybody that's catching up that I would not consider this a spoiler, but if you want to earmuff for 5 seconds, you can. In 3, 2, 1. I think it was called something like Funeral Rites or Funeral, something like that. But of course, now I can't think of what I named it, / I can't think of a better name for the actual video. Streams. Show me the info for this stream. Verify that you are human. Oh, does it not show me the stream's title, what it was at that time? F. Okay. Well, I'm trying to name the notes files for the sessions, but this stream also would be funny, yes. I'm gonna call it that. Unfortunately, with session 34, it's been so long. Like, not only did it slip through the cracks, but part of the reason and part of how it slipped through the cracks was that it had been quite a while. It had been, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks since we had played. So I'm super hazy on the details from episode 34. Obviously 35, which was last weekend, I'm pretty good with. But I'm gonna have to actually like rewatch or at least skim through 34 because my brain don't brain real good like that. Okay. So episode 35 notes. We did get to like all of the scenes that I wanted to get to during this weekend's episode, which I'm really excited about, and also some extra scenes because of course I try not to plan a full docket. Well, and really to be clear too, when I'm talking about preparing scenes, if the players don't do it right, like if if a messenger runs up and says, hey, go and see the Lady of Capstone, and then they don't do it, like, all right, so be it. So like I don't force anybody into scenes, but like I try to plan things that I expect have a fairly high probability of happening. And then of course, within that, I don't want to plan a whole episode's worth of scenes because like there will be stuff that I did not expect. Rightfully so. Yeah, exactly. Then you have to improvise. So I try to do both. I try to plan for highly likely scenes, and then also I try to leave space in the schedule, so to speak, for players to do what they want. Like more open-endedly. I could not predict everything if I wanted to, so I'm not going to try. But usually where you leave off with a session, you usually have a fairly good idea, of some things that are likely to happen next time. This is going to be kind of weird though, because like I said, we did have an ever so small time skip, so that we could get to that last scene, because it was a fairly serious scene and it seemed better to end with it than to start with it. So we have a little bit of backfilling to do. I'm putting in my notes for this date, which I'll be vague. This date was time skipped during session 36 and recapped, or during session 35 and recapped in session 36. So at the beginning of the next session, we will recap what was done during the time skip. And maybe have one or two quick scenes, but How's the Church of Bana among mixed population? Any difference in rural areas versus cities or towns? I'm not. This might just be me. It's been a little bit of a weird day. So forgive me if I'm just being thick-headed, but I'm not quite following the question. Do you mean kind of like is the proportion of worshipers higher or lower in a city or rurally? Or do you mean more like what's their political involvement in different settings? Or are they tolerant of other faiths or trying to actively convert? Got it. Other goodly faiths are tolerated, but there is some effort to convert as well. Like, I don't know, gentle effort to convert, I guess, for lack of a better term. Evil faiths are very much not tolerated. Hey, Amras, because I remember you made a joke about it. Although we did end up getting to the scene. Do you happen to remember what the name of the working title for this last weekend's episode was? Like during the stream? Clothing optional. You don't? God dang it. Yeah, I can't remember either. A freaking Thursday, right? By the way, for those of you that haven't heard or haven't been around when we've been talking about it, Eclipse has made the decision to start all the way from episode 1 on our series, and it's possible that he's watched some more, but I think last I heard he was on episode 5 or 6, and I'm super excited. I'm very grateful for the interactions, of course, from like a business standpoint, but I'm also just really excited that you're having fun with it. I think once the cameras get on, you'll like it, hopefully even a bit more. But I really, really like the prologue episodes. I stumbled onto the most beautiful rendition of, what was that song actually called? I think it might have just been called 1,000 Years. Yeah, it's literally just called 1,000 Years by Christina Perry. An a cappella version of it, of her singing with a couple of YouTubers, that was just spectacular. Like, I was bawling. That was part of the reason why I was late. It was beautiful. Like, literally brought me to tears. Hello, or right? I already accused them of being phonies. Bagged milk is still so strange to me. Wait, is it really? Is it like 3, what would it be, liters or something? There was a mistake in my notes for sure. I mean, I think it's just a like conservation thing, right? Four liters total, split into 3 bags. Wait. 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 I hate it. Why? Why is it 1.33 liters per bag? That's awful. That may be the worst part of the whole thing. Okay. Session 35, so last weekend's notes are now cleaned up. So now how do I organize this? Man, this is complicated. Okay. So this is session 36. A very small reason, but one of many reasons why I usually try to avoid time skips. Because it makes any kind of note keeping horrendous. All right. 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 I think I know how I want to do this. Oh, God. I just thought of something else that probably isn't noted anywhere else. I gave names to the settlers. I don't think that's written down anywhere other than in the session notes, though. Let's see. Maybe it is, right? I'm going to look. Nope. What should we call them? Because they're not citizens. Settlers, I guess? What are you going to call your little fiefdom, Amras? And it can't be Catan. Right. It has to be pronounced like you're speaking Klingon though. That was very vaguely, obviously, and probably not anymore in anything official that we produce. But back when we played our game at the table, um, Thadris played a special kind of dwarf, and he was like, I don't want my dwarf to just speak with a Scottish accent like they always do. I want to come up with something else. So we went with Klingon. I actually have some glorious pictures of Thadris wearing some costuming that he put together for that dwarf. Well, yeah, I totally will I totally would have /will if I can find them. One of them for a long time was his profile picture on some stuff. I'm sure that's been changed eventually. But in the beginning, there was no equipment available to make cartons in metric sizes, only imperial ones. So in order to meet deadlines, Canadian milk companies in central Canada found equipment that could fill 1.33 liter plastic bags in no time. Okay, so how we got bags instead of cartons makes sense. Sticking with bags makes slightly less sense, but inertia, I get it. But I'm still not sold on why they are explicitly 1.33 liter bags. I had way more organizing to do here than I thought. I'm glad I'm doing it. Hey, Shalendor, good to see you. You rolled 1 for perception last night, and it gave you a 23. I think Aura will probably appreciate this, although I'll be slightly vague on details. Although, I guess she may have already seen me post a little bit about it, so whatever. I'll be vague in general, because it's the thing that we're not fully announced yet, but there are a few people in the community that are aware. There is something that I have been helping test over the course of the last day or two. That very vaguely has to do with D&D and like buying and selling things. And I was like, oh, but it would be cool if I could also use this to give loot. Seems interesting. There's not. I was like, okay, well, whatever. Maybe I can just give things a price of 0. Anybody who has any experience or even just any adjacent knowledge to anything about programming / coding, I'm sure can guess as to roughly what the issue here is. But I was like, maybe I can just set the price of the item to 0. It was they had prepared for that. It did not cause like a crazy integer overflow error and crash the whole thing, but it then set the cost. The solution to that was that like 0 can't exist, so replace 0 with -1, which also created some interesting side effects. Yeah, I thought you might get a kick out of that. Oh, I didn't mean to delete that. Okay. Yay for undo. Also, randomly related to D&D stuff, but there is a person on YouTube that makes D&D content specifically tailored towards dungeon masters, and especially new dungeon masters, but towards dungeon masters. His name is Matt Colville. And years ago, I loved his stuff, and I used to watch it all the time. And then I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember there was kind of like a subtle shift in either his subject matter or how he talked about what he talked about, or I can't remember exactly what it was. But eventually I just kind of drifted out of watching the stuff that he was producing at that time. And then now I haven't watched any of his stuff other than maybe the occasional YouTube short or whatever in quite some time. And among other things, he had launched like a highly produced D&D, live stream, like playing at a table, kind of Critical Role style, live streamed game. And I was vaguely curious about that, but like I said, since I had kind of filtered out of consuming a lot of his content, I never got around to actually checking out the live streams. And it wasn't that long ago, at least I didn't think so, that they had experimented with that. But apparently, they don't do it anymore, which was a little bit of a bummer. I mean, I want to see people that are engaged in this space that we're engaged in succeed at what they, want to do. But the video was pretty interesting. I think it was literally just called No. And I really appreciated actually quite a lot of what he had to say in the video. I'll try and grab it and throw the link in the chat here so anybody that's curious can easily find it. But if you've ever done any sort of workshop or class talking about improv, which of course D&D has a lot of, or at least has the potential to have a lot of, the like initial basic premise that you always get taught first in like a workshop is yes and. So if I say, hey, I want to run over there and try and open that door, you don't say, no, you can't do that. You say, yes, you open the door and then it explodes. Which is like that's also a pretty closed-ended example. But like if we were role-playing together, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to the tournament. And you're like, yes, well, we're at the tournament. I can't wait to go and get super drunk and get my fortune read. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to get my fortune read. I'm totally going with you. So, but it becomes, there are some issues with it, but it's kind of like a very basic tool for getting people into the mindset of improv. The problem is you can result in essentially like an improv arms race, I guess would be what I would call it. So it definitely has its issues as well, but it is a commonly used and taught tool to get people started. And especially among newer communities of people getting into D&D, there is a strong undercurrent, not in all, but in many newer tables, to lean so heavily into yes anding that nobody ever says no. And so this video from Matt Colville was talking about essentially espousing the virtues of saying no. It's like, say no more often. Like it needs to be with a purpose, right? Like you need to be accomplishing something with it. You need to provide some sort of redirection. Like there's more than just literally just saying no. But it was kind of interesting to see, from somebody who's worked in this space for a long time, somebody kind of pushing back against that modern convention. I thought it was an interesting premise for a video, and I thought he did a good job. Tactile Trapsmith is such a fun feat. Yes, it is. And your GM let you carry it over to Pathfinder, so you get to add. Wait, that's what it does, or is that just how they homebrewed what Tactile Trapsmith would do? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Also, do not get penalized for disarming traps while blind. Right. Yes, and it's such a typical thing to do in improv. Yeah, and like I said, it is definitely a beneficial tool. It is not without its own drawbacks. Three 3.5 is for search, but search, spot, and listen are all part of perception in Pathfinder. Right. Although interesting, I actually didn't realize that they had also included search into that. So they rolled that together even more than 5th edition did, because 5th edition's just spot and listener together, but search is investigate, I think. You don't have the answer to the size, other than that 3 is easier to carry than 4 and fits better than 2. Got it. Yo, Cyber, good to see you. Happy hump day. How's your week going? What about a group that's not sure what to explore without GM prompting? Good question. I really, you always ask such good questions, and I wish I had done a better job of writing some of them down, because they're things that that I have enjoyed speaking with you about. And I would love to expand on them more. What am I working on? Good question. Give me just one sec. I don't squirrel out of answering Vincent there. First, I want to write down his question. Step 1 of the squirreling is necessary. I need to write down his question because it's a good question. I guess Orar's here. I could have asked if, and Amlas was too. I could have asked if one of them could have made a Trello, but that's fine. I did it. I did the thing. Okay, and I was right about 5th edition, it looks like. So, to come back to Vincent's question, what do you do about a group that isn't sure of what to explore without GM prompting? I mean, I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with that, and I don't think that you're implying that there is. But I think the important thing is to vary how you prompt the group, if that's being consistently an issue. Maybe you need to be a little bit more narrative, right? Be more descriptive in what you're doing, draw the players into the world more. Maybe that is really on the nose. You know, like I said, like the town crier comes up to you and like, you know, or walks by like shouting about something that happened. Maybe it's having whatever the thing is that you're trying to get the players to engage with come and engage with the players. Maybe it's I don't know if I already said this, but maybe it's like more descriptive language, right? You know, so if it's like, if you made the that's a good example. the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade trap, where he has to spell out Jehovah, or else he'll fall through and die. So like, how do you get them to engage with something like that? Like you need to seed the language somewhere before you get there. So in Indiana Jones, it's already been done through the book / talking about, his expertise in ancient history and all that. So yeah, I think it depends a little bit on what the size of the thing is that you're trying to get the players to engage with. And I think if you're having to do it frequently, is not just doing it the same way every time, because otherwise eventually they'll just end up sitting at the tavern and waiting for the town crier to come by every day, right? Which is fine to do occasionally, but it becomes pretty tropey. If the group isn't sure what to explore, you start throwing out adventure prompts. Yeah, exactly. So I guess I was talking more about delivery methods for adventure prompts. But yes. Some groups are self-starters, or some need to be given hints. Yeah, exactly. You could see it happening if there wasn't Fort Leona to focus on with the campaign party. Maybe, but I think in general, we've done a fairly good job of always having at least one other iron in the fire. So, we set up like 10 episodes ago where Bahir wants to go to look for his brother, right? So like that's been waiting for them to be willing and able to pursue that. So even if they weren't doing the stuff with the fort, so even if they weren't doing the stuff with the fort and I was not directly prompting them with anything else, then presumably they would like go and pursue that hook that is already there. But also they're players. Who knows? Maybe they'll decide to go get drunk and self-immolate because player characters are chaos incarnate. To your question, Cybersloth, as far as what I'm doing right now, we had session this last weekend, so I'm cleaning up my notes, giving XP, and I had a couple of follow-up prompts that I need to send to my players. So that's the part that we're working on right now. So I think it can happen to any party, and of course, as with all things in life, it'll be a bit of a spectrum. Even if you have a party that is generally good at self-starting, they won't always be. And vice versa. Even if you have a party that has historically struggled with it, sometimes inspiration will strike. Cleaning up notey notes a little bit more. I'm very much an open world GM. I do try to like plan ahead so that on things where I can make a reasonable estimation that they might interact with something, and I try to do some planning ahead so that I can deliver that in a way that's interesting. But I lay things out, and the party may or may not interact with them, and there may or may not be consequences or after effects of them interacting or not interacting. For instance, when I ran this game as a table game originally, oh boy, how do I tell a story without like spoiling big world things? The party had the party in my table game, this was back in like 2012, had just barely survived a very dangerous situation, and they had with them a very specific magical item that they had had with them for a while. And after surviving this situation, they realized that there was something in the area that magic item could interact with. And so they decided to do the thing. So they did the thing. You know, they put the MacGuffin in the MacGuffin-shaped hole, so to speak. And I started describing what they saw and felt and whatnot. And they were like, oh, we don't like that. We leave. Like, all right. Like you try to remove the magic item from the magic item, you know, shaped hole, and it does not come out. And they're like, okay, we leave anyway. So they just like activated whatever this was and then peaced out. And there were implications for that. That was something that was revisited much, much later, but like I didn't just, you know, that wasn't just in stasis. Things happened things happened both because they did the thing and also because they left without doing, you know, other things. A temptation for a party to camp at a settlement for too long, potentially. And somebody, you know, some people might argue that maybe we have, but I think it's also something to be very cautious of, like kind of what our preconceived notion is of like how much role play is too much role play or how much role play is too little role play, right? But generally speaking, I try to kind of snake in and out of pacing, I guess. You know, even the best action movie you've ever seen in your life isn't action all the time. In fact, if you actually go back and count the minutes that were like high action and the minutes that weren't, it will be predominantly non-action. So I get what you're saying, and I don't completely disagree. It is something to be aware of, but it's also worth kind of like examining our own biases when it comes to that and being like, do I need to hurry them out of town? Like, if they're having fun and I'm having fun, you know, like we're playing D&D. Table game could spoil your game. I mean, it's the same world, right? So I guess it wouldn't necessarily spoil, but it would be like meta knowledge. Your party was hiding in an empty house in the outskirts of a Durgar city, trying to figure out how to continue the search for the last warlock who'd been. Oh, very cool. I like that. And yes, monsters are agents of change. Absolutely. I saw one of my favorite ever. Well, I guess this might be a little bit of a spoiler too, because it's something that I've always wanted to use. But something that I thought was a very interesting suggestion for an adventure hook, right? Is it's session 1. You know, you've all got your characters. You're sitting around the inn. It's that kind of awkward, like, well, I guess we're playing D&D now, like moment, but where you haven't quite gotten over that hump, right? And then you know, and there's a number of different ways you could go with it, but the premise essentially was, as you're sitting in the tavern, a strange mist starts flowing under the doors of the tavern. And when you notice it, moments later, somebody bursts through the door, panting and dripping with sweat, and they yell, "They're coming!" Everyone screams, pandemonium, roll initiative. You're playing D&D. The dock area was under attack by probably drow, but while you were waiting for the eyes you had sent out to investigate the area, you ended up having Gugs attack a Duragar family nearby. I'm assuming Gugs is a player character. Hey, Reading Squirrel, great to see you. Here earlier and got disrupted. Oh, no worries. No worries. I appreciate you coming by. I hope you're well. I'm glad you've been having fun with your Pantheon grind. By the way, 2 quick prompts. And I can't believe it's already stretch break time. What in the world? I'm not going to go quite yet because we're having a good conversation, but soon I do need a stretch break. But if you're having fun, if you're new here, please consider subbing to the channel. Please consider liking the live stream. Those are both easy, free ways to tell YouTube that you like what we're doing, and and that they should show it to more people. The other is make sure to change your chat from top chat to live chat. Top chat's garbage. So if you're seeing messages out of order to what I'm generally responding to, and you're confused about that, it's probably because you're probably on top chat, which is doo-doo. Warlock was a former party member that was killed but turned into an evil undead. Yes, love it. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Squirrel. Even when you give details about large cities and various quarters, your party isn't necessarily keen to explore and will mainly sit in the tavern or just go to the market. Yeah. Let me marinate on that for just a second. Gugs are large furry humanoids with 2 arms, but 2 forearms with... Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forgot their name, but yes. So with that kind of thing, it's funny because actually Matt Colville sort of talked about that in the episode in the video that I talked about, which I said I'd share the link, and then I probably forgot to do that too. My ADHD is on fire today. I will do that now. But is giving them a reason. So like what else might be interesting, right? And so instead of just having, let's say, a mage's school in the furthest quarter of the city that they're not going to find unless they go over there, when you walk through the city, the resplendent gates open after the guards have granted you passage. You step in, and the smell of incense fills the air. Ribbons flutter in the wind, and as your gaze turns upward to follow the flowing ribbons, you see a glowing a tower glowing green floating in the sky on the other side of the city. I bet your players want to go see what that tower is now. Right? So like, why would they want to do the thing that we want them to do? A lot of that, not all of it, but a lot of that we can solve with description. And some of that, again, we can solve with more specific things like maybe they go to the town square and say that they want to buy magic items, but it turns out there are no magic items for sale in the bazaar at the town square. They have to go to the magical tower, or some of that sort of thing. To kind of misuse yes-anding, right? You can yes-and them as they go to the town, as they let's see, how did you word it? As they go to the market. Yes, you go to the market and you find the things that you're looking for, but while you're there, the gentle hum of commerce is disrupted by somebody screaming on the far side of the market, and you look up to see a man running away, and he jumps up and climbs over the wall. What's on the other side of the wall? Where's the guy going? Yeah, also pulling from backstory for sure. I think there is something to be somewhat cautious about there, which is if you lean so heavily on backstory, then you potentially accidentally create the expectation that all things in everybody's backstory will be used. So personally, I'm more of a pick little things here and there versus trying to actually work through all of everyone's backstory. What's my stance on game balance? Do I balance every encounter, or do I throw whatever and lean on player skill? I believe the world is the world. So I don't build encounters for my party. I build the world, you know, at a large scale and at a small scale, and the party interacts with that how they will. Oh God, why did that start playing? Now, to expand on what I said there, generally speaking, the narrative is going to lead through things that are of relatively similar design and difficulty, right? Like, if your kingdom has an evil king, but your characters are level 1, you're probably not dangling adventure hooks for them to go and kill the evil king. Maybe, but probably not. So instead, what you're doing is you're giving hints that the king is evil, and then you're dangling, you know, the second son of one of the king's lesser minions or something like that. So now that being said, if I dangle the king's, you know, whatever, the king's lesser helper's second son, and then they're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna skip ahead and try and, you know, kill the king's brother or whatever. I'm gonna let them do it, but there's gonna be consequences for that. Oh, I just saw your message on Discord, voice. When I get back from break, we can talk about that a little bit more. Yeah, thank you, MLAS. There was one more thing I needed to get situated in my notes, and then I will get up. Okay, I got what I wanted. More grimdark, but check out Profession Dungeon Crap. A lot of great takes on old school. Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. I'm curious, and you can write back to me either here or on Discord, and I'll look at it when I get back. Voice, but with what you messaged me, was that in regards to? I feel like you mentioned something like right at the beginning of the stream, right? You asked about where Bahir was from. Yeah, I found it. Oh, okay, I see. No, that sounds like that was a different character. Okay, cool. I'm gonna pop up real quick, take a 5-minute break, stretch my legs, refill my water, throw in my garbage, and do a Pokemon Go battle. If you haven't been up off your hind knee in a little while, now's a great opportunity to get up, move around, and do the same. Especially your water. You and I both know that you haven't drunk enough water today. So join me in doing that. I'm gonna put 5-ish minutes on the clock, and then I'll get back to it. DM is a more conflict and situation creator. It's up to the party to solve the problem or run away. Yeah. I mean, and that's more or less what I was saying as well, just in a different way, right? The world is the world. The world exists independently of the characters, and then the characters like interact with and change that world in interesting ways. Or they don't, and then they suffer the consequences, right? I think that's something that a lot of DMs sleep on. Is inaction, like not making a choice is making a choice, right? So consequences. Move the story forward. I'll be back. Alrighty, I'm back. Hello, Kale. We win. Also, hold on. Caught a new Pokemon I'd never seen before. I'm sure Amras especially will love this one. It's Fido. Get it? Freaking amazing. All right, let's see. We had by here city state. Okay, yeah. Your GM has set times for when some stuff happens beforehand, which is why your character may no longer be Lord of the Islands. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. The world is the world. The world does not revolve around the players. How do you handle wounds? You have implemented your critical effects instead of double damage. An enemy with a blunt weapon will inflict dazed weapon. Oh, very cool. I have not played with a system like that before, but I find that really interesting. We do use normal crits, but we do also, we do also have some wounds. You can see if you go here. That is the public folder for our D&D setting, and there's a section for homebrew rules that describes our death and dying system, and essentially you can make a saving throw to not die, but you get a permanent injury even if you do survive. Is the short version. How's your day going, Kale? For those of you that don't know, Kale and Amras are both players in our campaign world. Oh, right. I need to put new time on the clock. 45 more minutes. What time will that make it? That'll make it 4:45. I might just put work ends at 45 minutes, and then maybe we'll go over a teeny bit again, depending on how we're doing. For the Wednesdays, what I want to move towards, if I don't start so late like I did today, my plan is to do 3 sections, so 2 breaks. But I started too late today. Doing good. You had 4 kids gone from your class today, so it was pretty chill. Gotcha. Boom. I have You're Welcome from Moana stuck in my head right now. By the way, I still need to watch Moana 2. Also, oh my god, ADHD brain on fire right now. But speaking of Moana 2, that reminds me of Disney, reminds me of Disney Plus, reminds me of, when is Andor season 2? It's soon, right? It's in the spring. Andor season 2. Oh, it's today? Okay, well, I guess I was right on the nose that it's soon. Very cool. I think the first season of Andor is some of the best television I've seen in a long time. The I burn my life speech, which is the vaguest probably I can be. Oh, Moana is. Got it. Is, I think, some of the best dialogue that Star Wars has ever had. When does Andor season 2 come out? April 22nd premiere. So like 5 or 6 weeks. Any anime fans? I have seen a little bit of anime. I would not generally call myself an anime fan. I'm not an anime hater either. But for me, it's more, I don't watch a whole lot of stuff that's not content. So like most of what I consume these days is on Twitch and YouTube is really the biggest hurdle. I'm also not super fond of some of the tropes that are common in anime, but mainly it's honestly it's just a time investment thing. But I've seen like Soul Eater and Inuyasha and Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean Yu-Gi-Oh is technically anime, right? Of course, the original Pokemon. Like I've seen some, but I definitely haven't gone very far down the anime rabbit hole. Ever seen it? Serial Experiments. I'm afraid I've never even heard of it. No. Fair enough, Shalendor. We all have our limits. It was one of the reasons why I think I liked Yu-Gi-Oh more than Pokemon, though, back in the day, was for better and for worse, the kids acted a bit older. All right. I have my Discord up here, which I'm going to need for the next couple of steps here. Yeah, and see, I love like Egyptology, things centered around Egyptian myth. That's actually how Pixie and I first connected. For anybody that's never heard that story, it was in a Mythologies of the World class, and we bonded over our love of Egyptology. But so I liked the Egypt theming. I liked that the kids acted a little bit more mature. I was always called mature for my age, so I identified with that a little bit better. I also loved Stargate. For anybody that ever went down that rabbit hole, if you haven't, you totally should. I don't know what's some other good random Egyptian related stuff. Welcome back, Squirrel. Okay, so there's a few things that we need to ping the group with. I talked a little bit about the time skip. We have we have some homework. Yay. Stargate was a good movie but a fantastic TV series. Yes, agreed. I like the movie. I love SG-1 and Atlantis. I didn't hate Universe as much as many people did, but I disliked it by proxy because it caused the premature end of Atlantis, and I did not like it as well. You're supposed to give homework, not get homework. What are your characters doing during the time skip? All right, so there's 2 questions. This one's specific. Then question number 3 is specifically for Amras. There's that. I guess this might also be construed as a discussion. So if you don't want to get into it literally at all, reading Squirrel, that's also okay. But out of curiosity, do you right, Rocket? Do you just have like strong feelings on it, and so you don't like to get into it, or were you like? You don't have to say what they are, but just I'm curious what the root of your not wanting to discuss the show is. I feel like there was one other thing. I have 3 things on my list here. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, no. I know what it was. There was something else in my notes. Strong feelings from your past that give an ultimate dislike to a previous partner. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I think, yeah, we're all there. Like, we're each gonna have things that trigger us like that. So I appreciate you being respectful about it. Dude, Vince, I love that. Yeah, that's a super cool design. I'll be very vague. All right. So that ping is done. Now they just need to do their thing. Har har. Let's look at XP. There's a non-zero chance that I dropped the ball on XP for session 34 as well. So we'll find out here. No, I did it. Go me. We played on the 8th. It's already the 12th. It's been 4 days since we played. What in the frick? Also, yeah, it was 5 weeks. The previous session had been on February 1st. And then we got back to it on March 8th. Yo, Kian, how are you? You know what's funny? Not like ultra recently. I don't want to try and play it up and be like, I just thought of you today. Sometimes that does happen when people come by and it's creepy. But within the last, I don't know, month or so, I was just thinking about you and Meg. Wondering how the new year and just various things are going for you. I will say, in general, just as a friendly reminder that we also try not to get into the political here. But broadly speaking, I'd love to hear what you've been up to and how you are. Yeah, time absolutely can fly. And it was just the way we were trying to get one more session in that had everybody, and we just couldn't schedule a time where everybody could make it. So ultimately we expanded it out a little bit into 2 sessions to allow for some more role playing, and also to hopefully allow for kind of the start of the next thing to occur with a full roster. So you guys are good. I'm glad to hear it. It's been a while since I had a chance to chat with either of you, so I'm super glad to see you. Tell her hi for me. What have you been up to? What's new in the life of Kian and Meg? Oh, really? Hey, congratulations, you guys. I will tell you, the playful shut up Megs might not be quite as well received over the course of the next 9 months or so then. Scheduling is the toughest enemy for RPGs, absolutely. And to be fair, our group has been generally good about communicating about it and both maintaining healthy boundaries but also making small sacrifices. All right. Apparently I closed the session notes, which is anti-helpful for giving XP. Yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. I kind of guessed knowing the two of you, but I hope it is, wish nothing but the best for all 3 of you. Yeah, for sure, Shalendor. Is there anything in particular that we want to call out for individual XP, or am I dealing mostly with session XP? I mean, there's lots of folks in Hollywood that have kids. Ideal group size, 5 or 6 for me. Very, very rarely do I run for 4 or less. I have run for as many as 10, which is obviously a lot. But I definitely like a party a little on the bigger side. Well, yes. Yes, you did. I think arguably that's mostly still just kind of like in with role playing, but I might give you a little extra bonus for it. something else that I do need to do, actually, because we had some fortune telling last session, and I need to get those documented somewhere. Get to negotiate. Plead your case. There it is. Well, there's one of the two. There is that one, and here's the other one. There's a second place that I want to get those noted, but while I'm thinking of it, I also want to pre-write some in case that is something that gets interacted with again at some point. All right. I feel like at that point, no one player gets enough time in the spotlight, and that's a problem because of the way that you pace your games. It's not. I think it depends a lot on your player character cast, right? Because some people really like playing main characters. Some people really don't want to be a main character, right? Some people are mostly along for the ride. They'll pitch into the occasional scene and they want to stab stuff. Some people really like the role playing and don't really care about the combat, right? So, when I've run bigger games, I have generally built parties that have mixes. I think it's when you have a large group of people who all prioritize the same type of play, that's when it gets dicey. Because then, if nobody cares about being in town and everybody just wants to stab things, then combat's going to take twice as long because everybody wants to come up with the best strategy. They want to, they want to describe their attacks in the coolest way. They want to, whatever. And everybody's doing it. So it's going to make that combat even longer than D&D combat already is. Conversely, if everybody is just happy to play The Sims in D&D, then anybody else, even if it's just the DM who wants to do some combat or something else, isn't, you're not going to get to do that very much. So I found that with a group bigger than 5, you need at least a few people kind of in each camp or in each cup, so to speak. So that way you have a few people who are like, yeah, combat, let's go. And, they get to have their cool moments and whatever. And then you have a couple other people who are just like, oh, it's my turn. Okay, I rolled D20 to attack. All right, my turn's over. And then conversely, when you get into town, those people who love combat are going to be like, I go to the tavern and drink. Maybe I punch somebody. And the people who really love being in town are, they're going to talk all about all the things that they do around town and whatnot. So I think it depends a lot. I think bigger groups, like I said, with people who have more aligned play styles is where it gets the hardest. I'm not familiar with that term. What is side initiative? Thank you, Kian. Give me just 1 second to finish a couple of thoughts here really quickly because I'm squirreling fairly hard today. But I appreciate the question. I will definitely get to it here in just a second. I think eventually, I think I just need to make a folder for this. Oh God, no, not upload a folder. New folder. There we go. Hello, T-Bomb. Good to see you, sir. How's your fence project going? Okay. Yeah, I need to just structure this the same way that I did with Angela and her shop, I think. I just need a whole folder for it. Roots and auger don't mix well. Ruh-roh. No, they don't. That type of thing is how I first threw out my back. Sorry, I know I said I needed to focus, and then I'm not focusing. See previous statement about squirrel today. Basically you re-roll initiative every round, but each side of the encounter acts simultaneously. Oh, interesting. I feel like that would slow it down though. Because one of the things that I always try and get players doing is like thinking about what they're going to do while they're on deck. So that way they're, when it's time for their turn, they can go faster. But I mean, hey, if it works for you, cool. The idea sounds nice. Ongoing project, check Discord DM. I will in a little bit. Like I said, I'm halfway through 4 things right now. To Kian, how have we been? Man, it depends exactly on when the last time we talked was, but a little over a year, well, right about 9 months ago, actually, we had a really major health incident in our extended family that was very stressful. Thankfully, everything turned out about as well as it could, but the journey to get there was a lot. Other than that, Pixie's been enjoying her new, I say at this point, it's not really new anymore, but her newer job. I'm still loving what I do. I'm working really, really hard to try and grow the YouTube this year. We've pivoted a lot of our other socials and combined them onto Blue Sky, so we're pretty much just Twitch, YouTube, Blue Sky. I guess Discord's a social media technically, but we decided to instead of trying to do things also on TikTok and also on Instagram and also on Twitter and blah blah blah, we tried to focus down a little bit. And I think that has helped productivity. We're getting ready for our 7-year affiliate anniversary subathon. We'll be in a little under a month. Seasonal depression was pretty rough earlier this winter, but I'm doing pretty good now. So a little like some ups and downs for sure, but I'm really grateful for where we are and what we have, and for all the things that we've gotten through. My fingers were one key over. That's always interesting when you try and type like that, and then it's like, oh God, what does that say? And OSC each side. Oh, sorry, I read that one already. Your group rerolls initiative every 5 rounds to have a bit. Oh, that's fun. That's a nice way to mix those two things together. I like that. Yeah, thank you, Kian. I appreciate it. Wait, there's no, wow, how did this happen? There's no link to Angela in my document for Capstone. That's weird. I guess I just, I just know. But that was not expected at all. Oh, wow. I vastly prefer Arial 12 to Arial 11. Holy crap, I didn't realize it until just right there. You're otherwise just waiting GTA 6. Oh dear. The question is, what level of schooling will your heretofore unborn child have completed before GTA 6 actually comes out? Will they be done with primary school, secondary school, college, doctorate? What do you think? That initiatives for bigger parties like 9 to 11 people was intense, but also made for cinematic visuals. Yeah, I could see that. Right, Kian? Right. All right. Well, as I often am, I'm glad that I'm doing this because it has uncovered some gaps in my note keeping, or at least in my note organization is probably the better way to say it. Four years since you last had a haircut. Holy heck. Favorite D&D tubers. I have gone through phases with Critical Role. I personally liked season 1 the most. Obviously there's, I could wax poetic about each of these, but I like some of their stuff. Some of their stuff I haven't identified with as much. I really like Matt Colville's running the game stuff. I think addressing GMs is really smart, and I think in general he does a good job of helping people think outside the box. Of course, this is going to sound largely like a tour of all the big names, but of course, Brennan Lee Mulligan and Dimension 20 do a lot of things that are really fun. It's easier to think of the ones that put out the content the most consistently because you see them the most consistently. There's definitely others that I would name, but I'm drawing a blank right now. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm on the attention struggle bus today a little bit. I'm doing okay. I'm getting stuff done. I've definitely had worse. In fact, last week was a little tough. But Bandits Keep. I don't know that I know that one. Is that the name of the channel or like the name of their campaign? Appreciate it, Reading Squirrel. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I know where the rest of the notes that I need for this new document are. They're in Trello. Great system agnostic advice. That's the channel name. Okay. Yeah, and generally speaking, I tried, like when I talk about stuff, I try to speak in kind of a degree of vagary that's relatively system agnostic as well. Obviously, if you're talking about, 5th edition's advantage system, like, then yeah, you have to talk about that system. But You know, especially when I'm talking about like world building or adventure hooking or that sort of thing. I don't usually need mechanics for really any of that. That's about where we stopped as well, Shalendor. Dear God, where are these notes? I know they're here in Trello somewhere. Oh dear. Did I mark them as complete on accident? Because they're not. Hey, Kian, I really appreciate you coming by, man. It was great to see you again. Take care. Have a good night. Okay, I found a note that I wanted, but not the notes that I wanted. No? Oh, no. Maybe it wasn't saved where I thought it was. Oh, God. Is this another one where it's only saved in session notes? Yeah, I understand that, Cyber Sloth, especially as somebody who's aphantasic. It's at the root of a lot of my love hate with Tolkien and Lord of the Rings too. Yeah. Oh God, why can I not find where I saved this? Oh, I might know. Okay, I might know what's gone wrong. I think this may be the second time that I've made a consolidated notes file about this topic. Well, and it's interesting, Cyber Sloth, as well, because you say that you didn't like, because being very descriptive doesn't necessarily have to do with combat. Um, and generally, the diametrically opposed would be, hey, speed thing, you know, like would be don't talk so much. I want to hit things. So it's interesting, and I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, like, literally, it's interesting that that some of your complaint combines the two things together. Right, Rocket? I found it. I was right. I had already done a consolidated notes about this topic. The question is, where the heck is it? Yes, T-Bomb, I do. Well, I mean, maybe, but I actually think, at least of the main D&D editions, 5th edition is the fastest combat that there is in D&D. Oh, Crit Roll is absolutely more of an audio drama. Yeah. I mean, I've run combats that were 30 minutes long, and I've run combats that, although this is obviously, there's only one that hugely throws off the balance of what I'm about to say, but I've also run a combat that took probably 20 hours. I don't actually know. In general, I aim for a non-major combat to only be a part of a session. But I think, to me, saying that the campaign ending BBEG fight being 1 6-hour combat, that actually does not sound that extreme to me. You've one-upped it. Tell me more. Quick glance at the Discord. Yeah, I got through. I only have 2 things that I'm trying to juggle now instead of like 5, so it'll be easier for me to look at Discord here in just a minute. Yeah, I was literally halfway through like 5 things when you said that a minute ago. Okay, the good news is I have untangled a big knot in my note keeping and everything. I'm glad about that. Okay, all about the monster's defenses, ACHP, and reactions. If your table expects a 6-hour combat, they'll be sorely disappointed. You gotta get sleep sometime. Yeah, I mean, and I've beat this drum 100 times, and I'll beat it 100,000 more. It's really all about what works for you and your table. Is really all it boils down to. There's no right or wrong way to play D&D. There's just the way that does, that works for you. And that's the beauty of it, really. I know it sounds like a platitude, but wow, T-Bomb. That's crazy. I thought earlier when you said check Discord DMs, I thought you were sending me a picture of your fence. Vincent, are you still here? I can type it later if I need to, but it's easier if you're here now. Yeah, for sure, T-Bomb. Are you gonna do the same thing? I'm assuming. How about the ship lasted for 2.5 sessions? Yeah, I would say outside of our crazy experiment with the Battle of Capstone, the longest combat that I'd ever run before that was probably about, like you're saying there, 2 sessions ish, maybe a little more. In general, if we're going skirmish to like medium scale combat, you know, I'm targeting like 90 minutes to 3 or 4 hours is usually kind of what I'm looking at. But it's, you know, it's so hard. It depends on how comfortable your players are with the system you're playing, how descriptive they're being, how descriptive you're being, how tired everybody is. I mean, yeah, there's so many factors at play there. How do you handle mass combat? Funny you should ask. Like I said, we ran a combat that went for like 6 sessions. That's the only time I've done anything even remotely of that scale, but it was in our on-stream game. It doesn't sound like you would enjoy watching it, so I'm not going to recommend that to you. But if other people are interested, you can find the videos right here on our channel. There were over 2,000 belligerents involved, and the shortest version that I can give of an answer to the question of how did I run the mass combat was there were lots of sub-objectives that but I didn't want to get into like kill the general, win the battle kind of things. So there were lots of sub-objectives spread around the map that both sides were trying to accomplish. And then, so the NPCs, you know, were targeting some of those things, and the PCs were targeting some of those things. Sometimes they worked together, sometimes they worked independently. And then we took the armies, because I didn't want the armies to just be a backdrop. I wanted there to be an actual changing battlefield that the players and the NPCs could react to. So what I did is I did all the dice math for what the average damage output for, you know, one enemy and one friendly would be, because that's all just probability. And when you're talking about huge numbers like this, the probability actually, you know, should be fairly accurate. And then the NPCs acted. We split everything up into what I called meta turns. So the NPCs got to act once per meta turn, and then the player characters got to have 3 turns worth of actions per meta turn. And that did a couple things for us. One, if you think about what D&D combat actually is, every round is supposed to represent 6 seconds of real time, right? So with huge armies like that, like you would meat grinder, you know, 2 armies of about 1,000 people each, you would meat grinder those in like 36 seconds of real time. Right? So like that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like I realized that most battles were short, but not that short. Like most historical battles were short, but not that short. So it kind of solves that by making things not just end in a half a minute. And then the other thing it did is it allowed the players to act heroically within that space while still also respecting the action economy of the rules of the system. So so that was thing number 2. And then thing number 3 was, and it was actually thing number 3 is ultimately what made me first come up with the idea, is how do we handle movement, like large scale movement? Right? If we're going in actual initiative turns where we're bouncing back and forth, not only are the 2 armies going to kill each other before the players even get to do anything, but also, what if the players have to run across town? They're going to spend the whole battle running across town. Or significant chunks of it at least. And God forbid they have to go back again. So so allowing players 3 moves worth or 3 turns worth of actions within a meta turn allowed players to be mobile without increasing their speed, I guess, if that makes sense. It was chaos but fun. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. So far and who knows, maybe there is some dissent that people have just kept to themselves, but I've only had people say good things about it. Doing some formatting here. The good news is every time I do a notes deep dive like this, I think things get better and better. Like to change the number of soldiers into the army's HP. Yes, we did that too. Like I said, I could and should probably make like a YouTube video talking about how we ran the combat, but that's exactly what we did. We did not, however, do 1 point of damage was a kill. That's more of a 4th edition minions kind of thing, but same basic concept. It was fun. You'll say a little towards the end. It was starting to feel sluggish. Yeah, I think there was a combination of things at play there. One, just obviously it had gone on a long time, but two, part of the reason that happened was, of course, that we brought in 3 guest stars on top of a group of 6 players, so we had 9 players. And I stand by the decision to do that because we wanted to collaborate with our friends, but it did probably add 1 whole episode to the length of the battle. But I think the other reason why, and like I said, I was happy to do it, no regrets. But I think the other reason why, especially towards the end, it started to feel a little sluggish is there was less decision making and more doing, more rolling and praying, so to speak, you know? So it wasn't as dynamic at the end, and I don't really know. I don't know how you would keep that from happening, because ultimately you're narrowing the scope, right? Like that just is what's going to happen. But I think that's the other. Like I said, I don't necessarily know what you would do about it, but that would be some of more of my opinion on why it may have felt that way. Regards, you get that reference? Awesome. Oh my god. Google Docs' auto formatting stuff sometimes drives me batty. Oh, did you level up some more? Last I saw you were 6. Yeah, for sure. Kind of like Schwapipis. Or by the apocalypse. And you have a much larger, much broader exposure to different systems than I do. Right, squirrel? Oh shoot, I'm misspelling the word. It's esotery, E-R-Y, not esotery, A-R-Y. Did not know that. Very rules light and narrative focused system. Your wife bought a game that uses it. It lacks concrete combat rules. We think the system would be good for certain vibes. As I touched on, I personally struggle with that kind of thing, but I love to see the broader development within the TTRPG communities. Like, I'm glad that things like that exist. Good system for like a Stranger Things-esque story. Okay, very cool. Alternity game. Yeah, I don't know that. There we go. I had never actually written, among other things that I was doing there, I'd never actually written down the description of the Fortune's End. So now I did. And I did a bunch of cross-linking and hyperlinking and stuff. So heck yeah. I wish that this was a Thursday stream week also, because there's a few more things from my list down here at the bottom that obviously we didn't get to today, but we did get some good solid note work and building done. What's stopping me? You mean from just doing it right now? A combination of things, I guess. Like, theoretically, this is about the time that I generally want to be ending. Part of the reason for that being because Pixie gets home soon and I'd like to spend some time with her. Beyond that, there are some other projects that I need to do today. For instance, I have not started on our taxes yet, and we have a month. And hopefully the person that did our taxes last year is still accepting clients. Because I haven't even talked to them yet. So like we need to start working on our taxes, and there's a few other things, but that's a few to make the point at least. How dark do you go with your games? Good question. Give me a sec. I haven't actually assigned the XP yet, so I'd like to do that. If only it were that simple. I mean, among other things, I have so many different payment sources, right? We get paid by Twitch. We get paid, well, not yet, but hopefully eventually we'll get paid by YouTube. We get paid by Fourth Wall. We get paid by Patreon. We get paid by Stream Elements. We get paid by Stream Elements sponsorships. We get paid by Humble Bundle. Don't overdo it wanting to be on. Yeah, I appreciate it, Lily. I'm not like trying to rush out. I just don't want to start another, like, of the things that aren't done yet, like the info sheet for the Church of Banat, that's like another hour of work probably. I'm not going to start that. The Discord thing, I'll stay on long enough for us to chat about that for a bit for sure. Sort of T-Bomb, because you like there's a process for getting something like classified as a tip. They're not though. Twitch bits are not tips for sure. Stuff through tips through Stream Elements and Fourth Wall, like one-time tips should be. They probably aren't, but they should be. But bits are definitely not. I know I can say that one with certainty. They should be probably, but they're not. Hey Kojo, great to see you again. How are you? You just got here. Looks like that we're shutting down, but you hope the work stream was productive. No, I appreciate it. I like I said, I am planning on staying for a little bit longer, but I'm sorry that we missed you for most of it. But yes, it was pretty productive. We had good conversation, and I got done the majority of what I wanted to. And we found some discrepancies in my note keeping and whatnot that we fixed. So that seems like a good trade for not quite finishing the to-do list, you know? Yeah, I forget which is which from Twitch, but we get two 1099s from them. One is for bits and one is for subs. And one of them is technically a royalty. And one of them is, I think it's just a 1099 misc. But I forget which is which off the top of my head. No worries. Thanks for hanging out, T-Bomb. Appreciate you. Sometimes just solid progress on the to-do list is a win. Absolutely. Yeah, we had session on Saturday, the Saturday the 8th, just this last weekend. And it was a really fun session. It was I think at least the second, maybe the third session in town. So, I try and kind of weave in and out of adventuring versus, like kind of in-town role-playing type stuff. So, we're probably, well, not probably, we are like trending towards adventure again here. But, oh, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Now the real question is, can anybody make it over to Twitch in the next 50 seconds to trigger the video?
Stream Elements is the first chatter and has been first
I think the last 2 episodes were
times.
some of the best episodes we've ever had, though. This weekend was 35, so obviously the previous time we played was 34, and I think that both have had some really, really good role playing in them. And yeah, good memory, Cyber Sloth. Have you had a chance? Have you played any of your Pathfinder game, Kojo, since we talked last time? Oh, Looney, it was so close. It was so close. Thank you for trying. Can't recall the last time you were here. Oh, no worries. It was. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think we talked. Was it last week? Okay. I don't think it was Thursday. I think it was Wednesday last week. The 5th? It was either the 26th or the 5th. I couldn't remember for sure, but it sounds like Cyber thinks that it was the 5th. You haven't played since then, but you did buy a ticket for PaizoCon online. Oh, nice! Very cool. Where and when is that? It makes sense, but I actually didn't even know that they had their own con. Let's see, when is our next session? The 22nd? 3/22. Dude, that sounds awesome. So YouTube things. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on this. I don't know if I have strong feelings yet as far as what I do or don't want to do. But it came up during our Twitch stream last night when we were playing EverQuest. We were talking about D&D and how that's set up in our Discord server. Which I guess plug that while I'm at it. And right now, so our Discord is for a variety gaming community that does a lot of tabletop role playing, but that's not the only thing that we do. So there is currently one section dedicated to role playing games. Actually, I could just show those. So we're trying to figure out what to do next because we have some people who have been requesting some like additional channels essentially, and I'm a little bit torn on how to deliver on that. So in the role playing category, we have one for general TTRPG, one for D&D, one for the Kingdom of Ren, which is the campaign that I run in Ren, the Ren Chronicles, which is the campaign that I produce in Ren, that's DM'd by one of our friends from the At Mortal Woes. We have the Tailspire mapping channel, which frankly doesn't get used a whole lot. That may or may not stay around. Then we have all the townsfolk info, which if you guys haven't heard about that, I'll explain that really quickly. And then GM chat, which obviously I'm not going to click on. So a couple of these channels are hidden to other people. Obviously GM chat only shows up to me and my co-GMs. But there's been some interest in having like a section for like specifically for the campaign content. So, you know, the like because like the Kingdom of Ren channel, that's hidden to everybody who's not a player in Kingdom of Ren. Chronicles, same thing. GM chat is hidden to anybody who's not a GM. So most people, if they look at this section, all they see is general TTRPG, D&D, and townsfolk. So we have a couple ways to potentially go about this. We could just add more channels in the role-playing category, which I think is fine, but we do have a lot of channels. We could add a new category that is like specifically for discussing Ren. You know, so like we have role-playing, like general role-playing, and then we have maybe another, like we add another category that's like Ren specifically. And then we could put a couple of channels in there. Or, and I'm generally prejudiced against this, but it is worth considering. Should we have a separate Discord for Ren? Like I said, I'm prejudiced against that, but I think it's worth thinking about really quickly. So hit me with any thoughts. You know, if you have any other ideas that I didn't just mention, obviously let me know on your other ideas. If you have any thoughts on those ideas, let me know. And then I'll talk about Townsfolk while you're thinking about that really quickly. Townsfolk is a really fun system that we run. We co-developed it with Spio from the app Mortal Woes. And this is a way for more people to participate in the world of Ren. So as you can see, we have 2 campaigns that take place in Ren, but beyond that, we have the Townsfolk. So anyone who's interested can make a Townsfolk. So any of you that are here right now could do it. You could go do it literally right now if you wanted to. And they are NPCs who live in Ren. So like I'll click on this one. Double click? I forget, how do I open in full view? There we go. This is Capstones and Cornerstones, which is a stonemasonry. And it's run by Auric Ironbrow. So we stripped it down. So you have a really basic character and really basic character sheet. So that way it's newbie friendly. You just have a few decisions to make. Where do you want your business to be located in our world? And of course, we share the map. What type of business do you want to run? What are a couple of basic personality traits and core stats for your character? And then you do all that through a worksheet that can be found just here in the resources section. Also, like here's the map of Ren if you've never been here when I've shown that or whatever. And then you get a business, and that business, once per month, you get to make a roll to see whether or not your business is making money. And then there's there's a secondary roll for like the severity of success or failure. And then there's a little bit of light role playing. So you can see like, here's my December. I'll show what I'm reading. I'll show above my camera up here. So in December, I requested a D100 roll with a modifier of 25, which how we get there doesn't matter for the sake of this demo. And my result was 101, which is obviously spectacular. So then Spio responded and said, the remnants of the recent battle and the recent spread of illness has caused an increased demand for family crests, statues, commemorative markers, and gravestones. The initial sadness of the commissions has quickly subsided by the warm-heartedness of helping those create a beautiful and everlasting peace to visit. Pay respects and remember those who were lost. Go ahead and roll 1d4 for the severity of your outcome, and then I rolled a 4. So then he responds and says, your work has been immaculate. You can roll these dice to determine your profit. So so that's a quick kind of expose on how it works. It's pretty fun, and then that way the world of Ren is populated You did a thing or hobbies. Oh, I think I understand, Lily. Got it. And then these NPCs live in our world, and periodically our player characters in our campaigns will come and shop at your shop. And then we use a combination of how the business has been doing recently. Obviously, business has been doing better. The shopkeeper will have like a different the shopkeeper may have a different attitude than if things have been going, well or poorly or whatever. And then also we have like a little bit of art that goes with it, and so it helps us flesh out our world, and it gives more people an opportunity to contribute to our world. So it's been really fun. Open invitation. Sorry, I was trying to get through that. I was trying to brain that. Let me actually read what you said, Cyber. You said you draw a lot, and you've been drawing your monsters for your world. What would be a good place to show your stuff? Oh, cool. You've considered joining, or you've considered just posting to YouTube with a description and stat blocks for your systems that you play. Do you mean, I want to make sure I understand the question, Cyber. Are you asking how you should share those things with us, like specifically? Or do you mean like broadly, you were thinking about starting to post your work somewhere and you want some advice on where? Good job, Boo Boo. And then also catching up, like I said, I was monologuing a little bit. Kojo said now it's online over Memorial Day weekend. Got it. Well, that's a little bit of a bummer that it's online, but I hope you still have fun. Kojo says, I was working on a Pathfinder related software project to wrap up your workday, and good progress was made. Hey, let's go. So you missed the working stream, but if you started 2 hours ago, it was around the same time. Yes. So when we do the working streams, I'm in Pacific time. So right now it is 5:15 p.m. for me. The Wednesday working streams are every Wednesday with a small asterisk. I do occasionally take one off, but most every Wednesday, starting between 2 and 2:30 Pacific and going for like 1.5 to 3 hours. And then we do every other Thursday. And the Thursday streams are, we try to be a little bit more focused and a little bit more strict with our timelines. We call those the power hours. And it's more like 30 minutes on the clock, 5-minute break, 30 minutes on the clock, and then try and get out. So the Wednesdays are 1.5 to 3 hours. The every other Thursdays are 60 to 90 minutes. So yeah, we aim to start at about the same time. Today I did start on the late end, but we aim to start at around 2 to 2:30 Pacific. Also, the Discord server that I was linking earlier is, obviously a great way to stay up to date with when we're doing streams or posting videos or whatever. I do also try and post our schedule here on YouTube. I don't know if anybody ever catches I forget what those are called, the community posts or whatever, but I have been trying to post our content schedule, or our live stream schedule at least, on our YouTube, whatever that's called, community page post thing. Is it okay to post your Discord? Both, really. Got it. Yeah, totally fine to post your stuff. Oh, I never got to your how dark do we get question. So I'll come back to that in a second too. Yeah, it's fine to post stuff that's like PG-13 ish to our Discord. We don't do nudity or really ludity much either. And we don't get into like extreme violence, but as long as you're not like too far out, so to speak, sharing your stuff in our Discord would be fine. And as far as posting it externally, I have really enjoyed using Blue Sky as a platform. So if you're not currently active as a creator on any social medias, if I had to pick one right now, especially for like art type content, I would be most tempted to do Blue Sky, to be honest with you. PaizoCon is online, but they still have some in-person events. Okay. There's one kind of near you, but you're going to skip it since you'll be going out of town to another con the next weekend. Holy cow. You try horrifying monsters, but not really gory or lewd. That should be okay. If for whatever reason I feel like it's a little over the line, like it, no, like I understand that you are trying to be respectful. Like I will just gently, if there were anything, I would just gently remove it and send you a message explaining. So there'd be no hard feelings either way, as long as you're kind of working within the general guidelines. And you'll be coming home from a tech conference the week before, so plenty of it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so that's a busy time for you. Holy cow. So on that note, how dark do we get? As you can probably assume, broadly speaking, we kind of aim for between PG and PG-13. We do occasionally get into the like PG-13 plus. Sometimes it's Disney princesses and rated G. But broadly speaking, we kind of angle for adult enough to not feel juvenile, but gentle enough to be accessible. I like that. I just thought of that. I'm gonna write that down. Speaking of which, you need to get ready for a call at the top of the hour. Hey, no worries. Thanks for coming by. It was great to see you again. I'm excited to continue to hear about your adventures and whatnot. Thanks so much for making the effort to come by. And good luck with your call. I see what you did there, Lanny. All right. All right, we did the things. I still feel pretty good about today, even though we only got about half of the to-do list done. Like I said, we had a fun conversation. We still made pretty good to-do list progress because there was a lot tied up in like session follow-up and whatnot. And we did a lot of bug fixing for our record keeping. So I feel good about it. I'm happy. This is not a stream Thursday, though. This is the off week. So our next YouTube stream, for those of you that specifically like these, will be next Wednesday, I guess that'd be the 19th. Yeah, the 19th. So if I don't see you before then, hopefully I see you then. Again, we'd love to have you if you're new here, if you enjoyed the show, if you're not already a subscriber, we'd love to have you subscribe here on YouTube. That way we can catch you again in the future. And between now and the next stream, at least one more of our sessions should get uploaded to YouTube as well. So thank you guys very much. I'll throw the Discord in chat one more time as well for anybody that may have been curious about that. And it's just discord.gg/HereThereBeMonsters. Nice and easy. Thank you to our community for boosting the server so it is nice and easy. And I'm out of here. Take care. And as always, be excellent to each other.